Hey, what's up, everybody? It's the Fake Jake here, and welcome back to the second episode of the Four Corners podcast here with my good co-host Clam79. How are you doing today?
Doing great, doing great.
Nice, and of course, if you guys do not know, this is the podcast where we discuss comics, video games, TV shows, movies, and the like. We have these podcasts up on YouTube now. We're looking to get it up on things like Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and a lot more podcast outlets soon, but this is just our temporary place where we put them, and we discuss wrestling every now and then. We kind of throw it into the mix. And actually, speaking on that topic, the last time we did a podcast for you guys, we were actually recording from Starcast 2018 and the All In event, and today we're recording live during Hurricane, excuse me, what? On the eve of WWE's Hell in a Cell. And I want to say thank you again to Podcast Movement for letting us record our first Four Corners podcast and starting this new outlet, kind of getting us on track with the series. Back to wrestling, and am going to give Clam the floor here because he has a couple of choice words to say about this.
Thanks. It took us a little longer to record today, so we actually got to watch most of Hell in a Cell this evening, and wow, it was hard to watch. The red cage is just it makes it look like a toy. It does not look dangerous at all. So I'm not a big fan of it, not because of the color, but just because it doesn't display how dangerous that thing really should be. So
The old silver cage actually made it look
the
dangerous.
silver cage looked good, but this harkened back to the old blue cage that WWE used to use in the past. It was hard as stone, but it looked like a toy. So it didn't really look like the people were really in danger. So that was one of the things I didn't like about the new cage. So it wasn't just because it changed colors, it was just because it didn't look dangerous anymore.
It was like one of those old Rock'em Sock'em cages from back in the day.
Exactly, literally, it was Rock'em Sock'em, especially in the main event, which gets us to the main event. That was atrocious. Guys, if you're listening to this, you've probably already watched it. I shouldn't be spoiling anything. The DQ should be there should be no DQ in a no DQ match. Hell in a Cell matches are no DQ matches, so DQs and stopping the matches just make no sense. Um, that was one of the things that really bugged me. I understand Lesnar came out and they did all these spots where everybody's supposed to be hurt, but that just you just really wasted the match. Not only that, we had Ziggler and Rollins do a pretty nasty bump during the match, and it was wasted. And that's those are not things that you need to be wasting. Just like Kevin Owens a month or so ago taking a bump that was in the middle of the card. You don't need to waste those. Your body only has so many of those. So I hated that the extra angle they brought on the end of it pretty much took that away from those guys. The good things, there was a good match with Becky Lynch and Charlotte tonight. They did really good. I like how they're bringing out Becky's character. And Orton and Hardy had a really good cell match. They beat the tar out of each other. And I just don't know how many of these Hardy has left in him, but it was a great match. It was just that. It was a great match. It didn't really feel like we had built up enough to that. I know they've had some angles for it, but just didn't seem like it got to that point. But that's kind of our wrestling in a clamshell for this week.
oh, uh, well, just to say one thing on that too, it kind of seemed like in that second half, the only redeemable parts were the women's match and the Hardy and Orton match. And especially if you're comparing this to the Hell in a Cell with Shane McMahon, this was much more underwhelming. It really I don't know, because if you guys watched the Hell in a Cell with Shane McMahon, you saw when he jumped off that silver cage, just the impact alone made that seem a lot more realistic. And now it's like they're playing inside a plastic toy.
Sure. Shane, however, he's a spot junkie. We knew whenever they announced Shane, he was going to figure out how to jump off the top of it. So we expected it then. I would really love, and I liked in the Orton match, the Orton and Hardy, they did not go outside the cage. So I really liked that. I really liked
Yeah.
how they worked that in there. I thought they kept it the way it should have been. It was more of a cage match, keeping everybody out. They used everything there that they needed to. But we can talk about this a lot. However, what was yesterday?
Drum roll, please. I'm
Brrr.
kidding. Batman Day.
Awesome. So we'll move into comics with Batman Day here. What was your favorite, Batman moment or story arc for Batman Day? That's the question I saw a lot of people asking over the past couple days. And I'm actually going to agree. I saw the American Nightmare Cody shared out on Twitter that Hush was his favorite Batman story arc. And I sat down and I thought about it today, and I realized I said Hush is actually one of my favorite Batman story arcs as well. I'm a kid of the '90s, so I love Jim Lee's art. I love the inking that Scott Williams did in this series. So it was a real throwback for me, but it was just a very smooth, clean art style. Jeff Loeb's writing it was essentially this is like essential Batman. It can fit any story arc he's ever in. The way he acts in this story is Batman. And it was just such a good story overall. You got the little plug of like the Riddler at the end of it, finding out who Batman is, but Batman pretty much telling him, "Hey, it's not a good riddle if everybody knows the answer." So the way they worked that in there, but also it gave us a tease of Jason Todd as well, and how later on they had retconned the series and bring Jason Todd back in the Under the Red Hood storyline. So all of that just came from this great storyline, Hush. So that was my recommendation, one of my favorite stories for Batman Day. How about you, Jake?
Um, One thing I just want to quickly add on to that, it really shows you how different Bruce Wayne and Thomas Elliot are as characters, because they even kind of played similar to that in the Batman Arkham games. Where Elliot had this rivalry against Wayne for so long. Basically saying things like, "Oh, he had his riches handed to him on a plate. He never had to fight for anything in his life." And then he even went so extreme to the point where he took faces off of so many different people and constructed a face to where it looked like Bruce Wayne. And he had an ultimate plan to frame him for murder, and not even realizing that because of whose face he was wearing, he could find out who Batman is just by accident.
A little bit of a spoiler there, folks. Elliot obviously is Hush.
Yeah, I mean, those of you who have read the storyline, you guys know that. But actually, kind of segueing nicely onto mine, you brought up the whole tease of Jason Todd. My favorite Batman arc out of everything I've read is honestly Under the Red Hood, and that's not just because Red Hood is one of my favorite Batman characters. What this story did, it really it pushed the maturity for comic book readers out there, because it's taking off of what Death in the Family did, which was torturing a 13, 14, 15-year old kid and leaving them for dead. And then it really pushes Batman's rule about not killing, because to kill a Robin is to kill Batman's son. And when the Joker kills Jason Todd in any incantation, not incantation, what are we doing with magic now? No, sorry, adaptation. Really, in any adaptation, whenever the Joker's killed Jason Todd, Batman has lost it. He's gone nuts. He's almost killed Joker time and time again. So you really got to see in this story with I'm gonna probably butcher the guy's names, Judd Winnick and Doug Manka. I think it's how you say his name, but it really pushed his rule about not killing, and it really you got to see how strong Batman morally and mentally is as a character. And one thing that they did too, they took one of the most hated DC comic characters, Jason Todd, and actually made him interesting. Because if you readers of the 80s and 90s remember, there was a poll way back when for Jason Todd to be killed off in comics, and a large majority of the DC fan public said yes. So Robin was killed off in Death in the Family, but then they brought him back as a Red Hood, and actually it gave a lot of much needed character development for him, and you actually felt for the character as opposed to when he was Robin.
Definitely good.
So that's one of the things that I really loved about that story, is it managed to take someone who the fans literally wanted to and had the power over the decision ultimately as to whether or not he lived or died, and it just took someone who you hated so much as a character and actually made you feel for them.
Exactly. Did good with the storyline. They also made a nice little animated movie out of it as well. So I like the Under
They
the Red
did.
Hood storyline as well. So we're looking next into TV shows, and I'm gonna let you lead off here because you know a little bit more about this one here. But we've got a new show coming to CW, correct? Isn't it Batwoman?
Yep, sticking with the Batman theme there, we have the Batwoman TV show coming, and this character is actually going to debut in the annual Arrowverse crossover happening in early December. The title for it is not yet revealed, but we know that all of the cast is currently hard at work because those take a couple months to, write and shoot and all that, plus getting everybody together. But I am half excited, half skeptical for the Batwoman show also, because I'm trying to figure out how they would have such a heavy Batman character like that without they would have to reference Batman in some way because you can't just randomly have Batwoman without Batman, and they've already name dropped Bruce Wayne in Arrow. They haven't necessarily said Batman, but they've said Bruce Wayne and Gotham City we know is going to be featured in this crossover. And we do know a little bit of things about the solo Batwoman series starting off. For those of you who have watched the recent shark movie, The Meg, which was a great movie, by the way, Ruby Rose in that movie, who plays Jax, is actually going to be playing Batwoman. And it was actually because of this that everyone went to Twitter, attacked her with their, you know, pitchfork army. So that actually moved her to delete her Twitter because so many people were against the casting choice. But I'm curious to see how Batwoman is going to play. It's going to be fun to have another CW show out there. That's 6 now in the Arrowverse, I believe. Although Black Lightning is still kind of a toss-up as to whether or not it's connected. But I am excited to see what they do, and the reason I say I am a little bit scared is because the last time I saw Batwoman on either a TV or a show was the Batman Bad Blood movie, and Clam, I know you haven't watched the movie, but I personally really did not like the movie at all because what it was supposed to be was a movie where Nightwing takes over as Batman and do kind of a Batman Reborn story, but all it turned out to be was Batwoman love life drama, and it really got to the point where I didn't care about the character anymore.
Hmm, very interesting. You brought up a good point there. People going to Twitter and attacking people when they're cast for roles that they don't like. First of all,
And
grow up, people. We're adults.
exactly.
This is ridiculous. Just because you go on to Twitter and, this era of social media is great. We have information in our hands. We can also share our opinion in our hands, but sometimes our opinion is rather rude and it's rather crass and it's just our personal thoughts and not because of any problem with it. So the way that we share this is something that I really hope everybody just when you hear this and I was guilty of this. I remember when Ben Affleck got cast as Batman, I was like, "Oh gosh, no." But you know what? I didn't go on to Twitter and tear the guy apart and
Because
make personal
there was
attacks
even
to his
oh,
family and
sorry.
get someone to the point that they're ready to just disconnect completely. This happened with this show. This happened with Star Wars. It's
Did happen on
it's
Star Wars,
it's
yes.
something that's really sad and really should not have in any place in true fans' day-to-day life. Your opinion may be your opinion. That doesn't mean that you go out and blast somebody for it. That's just you're a horrible fan. I'll just go ahead and say it there.
and and you actually brought up a funny point too. When Ben Affleck actually got cast as Batman, this is going to actually segue nicely into our next topic here in a little bit. But there was a petition to get that movie, which ended up being Batman versus Superman. There was a petition to get all of that canceled because everyone was so against the idea of Ben Affleck as Batman. And the same thing is actually happening here. There's a petition to get the whole Ruby Rose Batman show canceled, and there are so many better things to be using change.org for. So many different things, but I don't understand why it is that people have to do this. I mean, if you don't like Ruby Rose as Batwoman, don't watch the show. It's that simple, and that will send them the message. If use your attention or lack of attention to send a message, not blasting someone because of a decision that they made.
Completely agree. As something that other people have been going on and attacking, Cassandra Jean Amell, which is Stephen Amell's wife, it has been cast as Nora Freeze for the December's Arrowverse crossover. And she's now getting attacked by people online as well. But you know what? Yeah, as we said, we already said go over it. We're not going to rehash that here. I think this is really cool that she's actually
Exactly.
been able to do something along with Steven. This is, he has really helped bring this whole DC part of
He,
this universe out here.
he's the godfather of it.
Essentially, yes. So I'm really
Like
looking
he's the
forward.
Robert Downey Jr. of this.
Exactly. And Nora Freeze was a character created with the Batman animated series to really give Mr. Freeze backstory to make you
Not so much a
care.
villain for they wanted to make a villain that was different, not just a villain doing villainous things for the sake of doing villainous things. They wanted to actually give him a proper purpose for what he was doing.
Exactly.
Not just the Joker who always goes crazy or Bane who's all about destruction. They wanted to actually give a character with a motive and a purpose, and that's why Mr. Freeze is one of my favorite Batman
hmm
villains.
So here, the part that I'm now curious about is she actually going to have a speaking role? Or are they just going to put her in a tank of blue stuff and let
Oh
him
yeah,
walk
the
by?
cryo sleep. The cryo sleep, yeah. I mean, it's been said too that she's actually going to appear in the what am I trying to say the Batwoman show a couple of times, and one thing that's also interesting, which is probably going to help us segue into our next topic, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Um, Tyler Hoechlin, who plays Superman in the CW Supergirl show, is actually coming back in the crossover and is going to appear a couple times in Supergirl season 4, more than he did in season 2, and he hasn't appeared in season 3 at all. And he's actually going to be coming back in season 4, as well as the Supergirl episode of the crossover, as well as Lois Lane is also going to be introduced.
I did see that they had cast someone, but I didn't look too much further into that. I didn't know if we were going into that today. So, who did they cast as Lois Lane?
I'm not entirely sure at the moment, actually. I don't know if it's been released yet or not.
Okay, we can look into that
Um,
next week.
yeah, as I was trying to segue over a second ago by mentioning Tyler Hoechlin as Superman, this actually brings us over to our movie news now,
hmm
to the apparent exit of Ben Affleck as Batman and Henry Cavill as Superman. Because even though they've said, and this is word for word, the cape is still in the closet. Ever since Justice League, there have been all these talks about, okay, the first Aquaman movie, the next Wonder Woman movie, a solo Batman movie, which has needed to happen for 2 years now. But there has been no talk for anything related to Superman.
True. Now, what this came out of is Superman was supposed to be doing a cameo in the new Shazam movie, and they were.
Actually, just to cut in right quick, I just actually figured out who was cast as Lois Lane for the Arrowverse crossover.
Who was that?
I'm going to butcher this name. I know it. Elizabeth Tulloch, I think is how you pronounce her last
Hmm.
name. I'm not too familiar with what I've seen her in. Apparently, she was in something called Grimm.
Grimm was a TV series, so that'll be very interesting.
Yeah, but back to the Superman
Yeah,
discussion.
moving back over to Superman. So apparently, Superman was supposed to make a cameo role in the Shazam movie, um, and they were not able to get anything locked down. And he's also shooting another series, a Netflix series, and so this role didn't work out. Danny Garcia, who is The Rock's ex-wife and current manager, also, as well as Henry Cavill's manager, confirmed that the cape is still in the closet and that, Cavill may not necessarily be done with Superman. But it should also be said that there's no upcoming movies with Superman, there's no big JLA 2s, there's no reason that Cavill would actually have to put the suit back on for a little while. So this is kind of tossed up in the air. It's either it's going to be, 2 or 3 years before we actually need Superman to come back as far as the movies are concerned, and he's going to be able to walk right back into the role, or what a lot of us are, considering or thinking, DC has realized that this universe hasn't taken off. The
They're struggling. It did not rocket off like they
Right.
wanted it to. And honestly, the main reason for that, if you don't mind me taking the lead for a minute here, um, the main reason that this universe is struggling so much is simple. They were trying to compete with Marvel at the same time that Captain America Civil War was releasing. So Zack Snyder wanted to make another, movie where superheroes fight and wanted to make it about Batman and Superman. The problem is, I mean, there are many problems, but the big one is what Marvel did is they built up the characters for 8 years before making that movie. So these were characters you knew every single person that was in these Marvel movies, and you knew everybody that was in Civil War. Whereas Batman versus Superman, yes, you know Batman and Superman, but in their new DCU, before that point, you only had one movie, which was Superman, and he was still becoming Superman technically. You introduce Batman as he's fighting. It's also a late Batman. Towards he's gone pretty far in his career. You do the whole Wayne flashback murders again, which is topic for another day. I don't. That just bugs me so much whenever they do that. But they didn't really take the time to slowly develop their characters at all. One reason why everybody loves the Marvel characters so much is because they've taken now 10 years to develop them. And they don't just try to throw everything in all at once. And that's where DC really struggled. And it's unfortunately where they've been struggling for the last couple of years now. And it's unfortunate for Cavill and Affleck, especially because I like them as Batman and Superman. My only problem is with, especially with Henry Cavill, I never feel like he really gets a good script for his movies. Like he has the potential to play a great Superman. He looks the part and he can act the part, but the writing is always terrible.
True. And from what everything we've seen so far, it looks like Ben Affleck's going to be stepping out of the Batman role after Suicide Squad 2. Looks like they're with a newer Batman. They're going to try and go with
And a
a
new
younger
Joker.
character as well as a newer Joker. That'll be a topic for one of our further episodes coming down. But before we leave movies, we've got a special event coming up at the end of September. It's not us, but we're going to it. And if you guys are listening to this, you're probably a fan of pop culture, you're probably a fan of animated shows. Transformers the animated movie is coming back to theaters for one night only at the end of this month, September 27th, 2018. For those of you that are listening on YouTube, we'll have a link in the description where you can go and find a theater near you that's got the tickets. Guys, they're not paying us for this. We're wanting to go and see this. Me, myself, I missed
Because
this
we
when I was
love
a kid.
Transformers.
Jake, this is the first chance for you to ever see it. A lot of us, you're never going to get a chance to see this in the theaters again. So definitely go out and take a look. For those of you not listening on YouTube, then make sure you go to fathomevents.com and search for Transformers, and you'll be able to find a link with the Transformers the animated movie, not the stuff that Michael Bay put out, and you'll be able to
Ugh.
find it in your area and go ahead and get some tickets before they're all gone. So hopefully we'll see some of you guys there. If not, it's going to be a great night. Be coming out later this month. That takes us out of our movies. How about what's coming up in games, Jake?
All right, so as we discussed last time, to kind of piggyback off of that a little bit more, we're going to talk more about Spider-Man PS4 or Marvel Spider-Man, whatever you want to call it, because it is actually out now, and I've gotten my hands on it, and I got to say, they pulled off a great game. And just honestly, the creators, Insomniac, they really made a great Spider-Man experience because it's been so long since. Well, it's been 4 years since we've gotten a solo Spider-Man game at all, and then even longer in my opinion, since we've gotten a good one. And so this, I was just really excited, but also really scared at the same time. I'm like, oh gosh, there's so many things that can go wrong here, but they did pull it off. It took a little bit to get used to because it was almost as if they mixed the controls for the Arkham games with a little bit of Spider-Man 2's controls. So that was an interesting transition. But overall, it was a good playstyle. One thing, too, I want to mention is the creators, Insomniac, they've discussed about not wanting to cram the symbiote Venom suit into the game just as another skin, because so many games have done that in the past. But Insomniac, I feel, actually has the right idea because they feel that for a suit so iconic, like next to the red and blue suit, the black suit is the most known and it's the most iconic. And they feel, and me and Clam are in agreement with this. This actually it deserves its own story. You know, if you're gonna do the symbiote and Venom, have it be the focal point of the game, or like make a whole DLC based on that, and make it an expansive DLC to where like it's a couple hours or something, not Batman Arkham Knight style to where you have 15-minute story packs. And don't pull a Spider-Man 3 where you just shoehorn Venom into the last 40 minutes of the movie.
Right. I was looking around at this, and they haven't clarified whether or not this is going to be a DLC or if they're going to create a second game because they haven't announced the second game yet. I personally hope this would be in the second game because this seems like a story big enough they could build the entire game around because they could do everything of finding the suit to the start with, Venom being a character coming along in the middle, and then having other DLC as add-ons, maybe even Carnage or some of the other symbiote specific storylines afterwards. So I'd love to see if they would do it as a second game, and then who knows, maybe even create their own little Spider-Verse here with these games, kind of like the Arkham verse with the Batman games.
Exactly, and I really hope that this does go forward because I mean the door was open for a lot of great potential things to come forward. One thing that, as I was saying, I just hope they do is one of my biggest problems as far as DLC is concerned with Batman Arkham Origins and Night. It was a $20 season pass for Arkham Origins and a $40 season pass for Arkham Knight, and over half of those DLCs were just skins. And skins are all well and good, but honestly, one of the better ways to include skins, in my opinion, is just make them base game unlockable, so you don't have to pay for them. I mean, one or two is okay, but there were over 21 that they made you pay for in those games. So I really am glad to see that Insomniac has done it to where you can get certain skins by pre-ordering and paying in advance, but you can just get them in the base game itself. So I'm glad that they've kind of thought that through.
Very cool. Everything I've seen about this game, the reception has been great. I've been watching the videos that you've been creating yourself and just reading other people's reviews on it. Everyone seems to love the game, the mechanics, the story is just getting rave reviews from what I could tell. It's probably one of the better Spider-Man stories in a long time. But at the same time, you are doing this game on your YouTube channel, right? Where can they find that?
Correct. You can find the YouTube channel at youtube.com/the fake Jake. You can also find me at Facebook, also at facebook.com/the fake Jake, also at Twitter at fake Jake 2, and Twitch at twitch.tv/the fake Jake 1. Yes, I know these numbers are a big thing to keep up with, but as we said last time, marketing in the world of YouTube is a pain in the butt, and it's not easy. If you want to get yourself out there, then you have got to close all the loopholes, and every little detail matters.
That's right. And if
See,
any of that's confusing, you can always go to the website, thefakejake.com. We'll have links to all of it there. If you're on YouTube, just look for the Spider-Man PS4 playlist. You'll be able to just find all the videos. Right now, you're a good way through the game. You're not complete with it yet, but you'll have the entire story up there soon.
yep, it is a long game. I am thankful for that. They did give us plenty of playtime and replay value to keep us busy for a couple months to come.
Very good. Now, I've got a question for listeners out here, so hopefully you guys can give us some feedback. You can reply either here on YouTube in the comment section. You can also send us an email, thefakejake1@gmail.com, and let us know what you think. We're curious if anyone out there would be interested in the WWE 2K19, either doing some live streams or some walkthrough, kind of like we do with the comic book games. Just give us a little bit of feedback. We're trying to figure out if this is a game some people would like to see some, if it's something that we want to create some content for, or if we just want to find another comic game to roll into after Spider-Man wraps up there.
Or if these platforms would be more convenient for you, you can message myself at either Facebook or Twitter. Those are available there for you as well. And wanted to actually mention one last thing that you brought up. As for after Spider-Man ends, I'm going to be carrying that out for quite a good long while. But the other series that have been going on for a while, which is Marvel Ultimate Alliance and Marvel vs. Capcom, I'm hoping to get finished soon. Marvel vs. Capcom is actually completely recorded. It's done. I just have to get the episodes out. And Marvel Ultimate Alliance, I am nearing the end. So I have a lot of games lined up for what I'm going to do. So you guys will never be at a lack of content. Like I'll never be at a lack of ideas. I'll always have something to get out there. I shouldn't run out of ideas anytime soon.
That's awesome. Well, guys, thank you all for joining us today. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Four Corners podcast. We'll be back with comics, games, TV shows, entertainment, a little bit of that wrestling stuff tossed in there. And you can find us online again at the website, thefakejake.com. Jake, where else can they find you again?
They can find me at YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Like I said, you can find all the different usernames at the website at thefakejack.com. And we really look forward to seeing you guys' feedback and comments on this podcast because it's really been fun for us to put together, just talking about these topics and hearing fan responses. And honestly, it's just a good time talking about things we love. That's part of the reason why I got into this in the first place. Just talk about what you love.
There we go. All right, guys, have a great day. Thanks for coming.
All right, see you guys later.